Hello? 911, we got a call from this number. Is everything okay? Where are you? Where are you?
In the early hours of April 3rd, 2024, a woman would be shot dead by her husband moments after she posted her new boyfriend on Facebook. At around 2 a.m., police would respond to a panicked emergency call from a female saying someone was at her home, threatening to harm both her and her children. The police were immediately alerted and rushed to the scene, but things would soon spiral even further. They would receive another call from someone in the prior caller's home, but this time, nothing was being said. But nothing could have prepared the investigators for what they were about to find on the scene. They found the lifeless body of the first caller. Her killer had forced himself into the apartment and shot her dead. As police scrambled for answers, they uncovered a devastating truth. The one behind her death is more chilling than anyone could have predicted. Her own husband had shot her moments after posting her new boyfriend on Facebook Live. And tragically, her story echoes one we've already covered on this channel. Do you remember the case of Barbara Tommy? She was a kind-hearted woman who dreamed of a beautiful marriage life, filled with perfect from the outside, with a man who seemed to be made from heaven. But that very man would turn out to be the one who would ultimately end her life.
You don't know whether you're financial or pastor, my friend. Get the f*** out of here before I f*** you up. Don't let me hurt you. Leave. We need ammunition. We came to get something. Can I promise you something? Promise me. If I don't kill your sister, then me, I am sick.
If you haven't watched that one yet, I'll link it at the end of this video. It's a heartbreaking echo. Now, let's look at the life and tragic death of Montanae Davis.
Nah, you got less than me. You cheating.
Bro.
What's up with it, bro? No, I said you got less. What you doing? What you say, bro? Man. What's happening?
We about to
Hey,
die.
I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna do this dumbass shit.
You have to die.
26-year-old Montanae Latrell Davis was born on September 26, 1997 in Dayton, Ohio, where she grew up surrounded by a tight-knit community that valued strong family ties and mutual support. Raised in a neighborhood with deep historical roots, Montanae always felt the importance of family, community, and making a difference.
I'm scared. Now you feeling your first. Feel that Hell no, feel that.
She attended Thurgood Marshall High School, where she excelled academically and later continued her education at Wright State University, pursuing a nursing degree. Montanae's passion for nursing was rooted in her genuine desire to care for others, particularly the most vulnerable. After completing her studies, she became a registered nurse, specializing in compassionate care. Her focus was not just on providing medical treatment, but also on offering emotional support to her patients. Whether she was working long hours in the hospital or making home visits, Montanae's dedication to her patients was unwavering. She was known for her ability to comfort and connect with people, and making even the most difficult situations feel a little easier to bear. But Montanae was not just dedicated to her career. In addition to her professional life, she was a devoted mother with 2 young children. Her family was the very core of her existence. She woke up early every morning to ensure her kids had everything they needed.
Hi, pretty girl.
From a warm breakfast to a loving goodbye before they left for school. Despite the pressures of raising children on her own, Montanae always put their needs above her own, never complaining about the sacrifices she made for her children. They were not just her responsibility, they were her joy, her purpose, and the reason she worked so hard. Those closest to Montanae described her as a woman who radiated kindness, warmth, and intelligence. Her smile was known to brighten even the darkest of rooms, and her presence was comforting to everyone she met. People were drawn to her for her nurturing spirit, and it was clear that her love for others went beyond her role as a nurse or a mother. But despite her natural ability to care for others, Montanae's journey was deeply affected by a tumultuous relationship with a man who would forever alter the course of her life.
I ain't, by the way. She ain't. You know what she's talking about. like God knows I don't need that in my life. Like, okay, my ex is hitting me up at the moment, you better not.
24-year-old Jamartay Latrell Brown, her former boyfriend, was a figure who loomed large in her past. Jamartay entered Montane's life, and what began as a seemingly loving relationship soon turned into something darker. Although there were happy moments, they were often followed by arguments and moments of anger. Montanae struggled with this back and forth, dealing with emotional pain and stress. As time went on, the relationship became more about control. Jamartay's behavior was possessive and abusive, which made Montanae feel trapped. The trust and love they had started to fade, and she felt like she couldn't escape the toxic cycle. But despite the hardships, Montanae found the strength to leave. Montanae realized she deserved better, a healthier, more peaceful life for herself and her kids. With immense strength and courage, she made the difficult decision to leave Jamartay, choosing her own healing and well-being over this toxic cycle they had been stuck in. She poured her energy into her children, focusing on creating a stable environment where they could thrive. But love wasn't done with her just yet. After the breakup, Montanae soon found a new partner, someone who truly accepted her for who she was and welcomed her children into their lives with love and respect. This new chapter in her life represented not just a fresh start, but a deep, unconditional love that Montanae had always deserved. Soon after, Montanae and her new partner found out they were expecting a child together, a symbol of the new beginning she had fought so hard to create.
Come on, let me see you get down. Baby mama's hanging up way too long. Until the DJ turn it on.
This child was not only a source of joy for Montanae, but a reminder that even after all the pain, she had the power to rebuild, to move forward, and to embrace a future filled with hope and love. Despite Montanae's efforts to move forward and create a better future for herself and her family, Jamartay's jealousy and bitterness continued to linger just below the surface. Although Montanae had made it clear that she was done with him and no longer wanted anything to do with the toxic relationship they had shared, Jamartay couldn't accept it. He continued to reach out to her, bombarding her with messages and phone calls, trying to get her back into his life. At first, Montanae tried to ignore him, hoping he would eventually just take the hint. But Jamartay's persistence grew, and became more aggressive in his attempts to win her back. He couldn't stand the idea of her moving on and finding happiness without him, and his jealousy and resentment began to build with each passing day. Montanae had made up her mind, though. She knew that she deserved better, and she was no longer willing to tolerate the emotional and physical abuse that had once been a part of her life with him. Montanae had found solace and peace in her new relationship, where love, respect, and understanding flourished. Her new partner accepted her and her children, and together they looked forward to building a happy future.
Birthday to you, hey to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday dear my love, happy birthday to you.
But little did she know, this unresolved tension would soon erupt in a way she could have never imagined. On the morning of April 3rd, 2024, Montanae's night began like any other. But in the blink of an eye, things took a horrifying turn.
911, we got a call from this number. Is everything okay? Where are you? Where are you?
We are not using the audio that appears to be the 26-year-old victim. She told dispatchers an ex-boyfriend was calling her, threatening to her house, and she told dispatchers she had 2 children.
She made a frantic 911 call saying her ex-boyfriend Jamartay was outside her and her children. The police were immediately alerted and rushed to the scene, but things would soon spiral even further. A second call, made by another adult female in the house, added to the chaos. But just as quickly as it came, the call dropped, deepening the sense of urgency.
Dispatchers received a second call they believed from another adult female that was in the house, but that call dropped.
Hello? 911, we got a call from this number. Is everything okay? Where are you? Where are you?
Despite the officers already being on their way, the situation had already escalated beyond what anyone could have imagined. By the time law enforcement arrived at Montane's Dayton home, the worst had already happened. Jamartay had forced his way inside and opened fire, shooting Montanae multiple times. A friend of Montane's attempted to intervene and protect her, but Jamartay managed to escape the scene before the authorities could catch him.
They found a female, 26 years of age, who had been they did first aid at the scene, but unfortunately she passed away later at the hospital.
Inside the house, officers found Montane's lifeless body. She was rushed to Miami Valley Hospital, but tragically, she succumbed to her injuries shortly after arriving. The gunshots that ended her life were confirmed to be the tragic result of a domestic dispute that had spiraled completely out of control.
Woman is dead, and police are looking for her killer. They said the shooting may have happened in front of her own children.
Now, this happened in Montgomery County about 3 o'clock this morning on Torrington Place, just off Salem Avenue. News Center 7's Mike Campbell joins us live with what 911 calls and police are telling him. Mike?
Well, Gabrielle, investigators downtown at the Dayton Police Department headquarters and those here at the West Patrol Operations Division tell me the entire homicide squad is working on this case. Now, you could actually hear shots being fired when one person dialed 911, and it appears the victim herself made a chilling call moments earlier.
As investigators began piecing together the events that led to Montane's tragic death, they quickly realized that the situation had been far more complex than initially believed. The evidence from the crime scene was analyzed, and investigators began to uncover the truth about the altercation that had escalated into gunfire. Police would later confirm that Jamartay, who had been the source of much of Montane's distress in the past, had forced his way into the residence, firing upon her without hesitation. It became clear that Jamartay's jealousy and resentment had played a large role in the deadly attack. Despite Montane's efforts to build a better life for herself and her children, Jamartay's possessive nature would not let go. The night of the shooting, Montanae was not only trying to protect her children, but also defend herself from the man she had once trusted, but now feared. The turning point in the investigation came swiftly. On April 4th, 2024, just a day after Montanae Davis's tragic death, law enforcement tracked down her ex-boyfriend, Jamartay Brown. Police had already gathered enough evidence, including witness statements and Montane's 911 call, to identify Jamartay as the primary suspect. A manhunt had ensued shortly after he fled the scene of the shooting. On the 4500 block of Queens Avenue, a man was observed placing a firearm wrapped in a toddler-sized t-shirt into a nearby storm sewer. The man, along with 2 others, one of whom matched the description of Jamartay Brown, was seen leaving the area in a truck shortly afterward. The police acted quickly, securing his location and arresting him without further incident. Jamartay was charged with multiple offenses, including 4 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, aggravated robbery, aggravated burglary, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence. His bond was set at $1 million. Authorities were able to piece through the collection of evidence from the crime scene and interviews with those involved. The 911 calls, along with statements from Montane's friends, confirmed that Jamartay's actions were not impulsive. Instead, they were the culmination of a long-standing cycle of violence and abuse. However, there was one problem. No one had anticipated the emotional toll this crime would take on Montane's family. As the case began to unfold, the grief felt by her loved ones was immeasurable. Montane's death sent shockwaves through her family and the community of Dayton, Ohio. Loved ones, friends, and even strangers who had witnessed her kind-hearted nature expressed their deep sorrow. Montane's mother, Melissa Dennis, was understandably devastated. In an emotional statement, she spoke about the grief of losing her beloved daughter. She recalled the small moments of joy they shared, like their morning breakfast outings, which now served as a painful reminder of their last days together.
This has really took a toll on us, and I hope to make it through, because every day I'm gonna mourn, I'm gonna hurt. I can't go to breakfast with my baby. She calls me 6 o'clock in the morning. We go to breakfast after the kid daycare at school, and she was a wonderful sister.
Melissa described her daughter as someone who brought light into the world, and now that light was gone. Montane's sister, Autumn Nicole, was equally affected. She spoke passionately about the bond they shared, especially as mothers. She had been there for Montanae when she became a mother for the first time, and had always been a constant in her life. In the wake of her sister's death, Autumn vowed to take care of Montanae's children, who were now left without a mother. Autumn promised to step into the role Montanae had once held so steadfastly for her own kids. Her grief, however, was visible. On social media, she shared heartfelt messages filled with regret and sorrow, expressing that she couldn't believe her sister was gone. The emotional toll that Montane's death had on her family was compounded by the realization that the tragic loss could have been prevented. The community, too, was shaken by the senseless violence. Montane's death reminded many of the growing problem of domestic violence and the lengths to which abusers would go when they feel they are losing control. Dayton, a city known for its deep ties among residents, suddenly felt fractured. There was an obvious sense of fear, anger, and a desire for justice for Montanae, especially for her children, who would never again feel the warmth of her investigation. Montanae's family had to focus on the heartbreaking task of laying her to rest. A funeral service was held to honor Montane's life, and it was clear that her memory would live on in the hearts of those who loved her. Family and friends gathered to celebrate Montane's life and remember her bright spirit. During the service, loved ones shared fond memories, recounting her generosity, her warmth, and her commitment to her children. The eulogies painted a picture of a woman who had so much life left to live, a woman whose bright future had been cut short by violence, included with a balloon release in Montane's honor. Hundreds of balloons were released into the sky, each one symbolizing the love and remembrance that her family and friends felt for her. It was a beautiful, bittersweet moment as loved ones watched the balloons drift away, carrying their messages of love and memories of a woman who had been taken too soon. The tragic death of Montanae Davis raises numerous questions, particularly about the severity of domestic violence and how it continues to plague many families across the country. How many lives must be lost before society takes the issue of domestic violence more seriously? Montanae's story isn't just about the heartbreaking loss of a mother, a sister, and a daughter. It's a reminder of the importance of recognizing the signs of abuse before it's too late. Domestic violence often doesn't show up in the form of physical marks alone. It can take the shape of emotional manipulation, control, and intimidation. Montanae's decision to finally leave her abusive relationship should have been the first step toward freedom. Instead, it led to her tragic death. Community programs also play a crucial role in helping victims of abuse. It's vital for communities to have accessible resources that can support individuals in unsafe relationships, whether through counseling, legal support, or emergency shelter. Programs that offer assistance to those at risk of domestic violence must be properly funded and supported so that victims like Montanae don't fall through the cracks. Finally, a systemic change is necessary to ensure that abusers face severe consequences for their actions. Jamartay's charges, though severe, were only a small piece of the justice puzzle. The system must hold individuals accountable, especially when their actions directly impact the safety of others. Furthermore, it's critical that the community at large does not allow abusive behavior to remain unchecked. I'm deeply saddened to hear about the tragic loss of Montanae. Her warmth, strength, and devotion to her children and those she cared for were evident in every aspect of her life. Montanae's kindness and nurturing spirit touched so many people, and the love she gave will never be forgotten. My heart goes out to her family, especially her children, during this incredibly difficult time. May you find peace in the cherished memories and the love she so freely gave. Rest in peace, Montanae. You will always be remembered.